So he's like, take your butt out to guard duty and don't come back until I tell you to. So I go out there and I do my 12 hours. Never heard from him. So just keep going. And we hit 24 hours, not a word. 36 hours, 48 hours, all the way to 72 hours before I finally, another senior NCO comes back. It's like, what the hell are you still doing out here? And he dragged my butt back.
All right, team, we're back here with Nathan Lenahan. We're just talking about names. He's got what we call a door name. It's just like, we were just laughing. I was like, what does that even mean? I'm paying him a compliment here. I'd say that makes a lot of sense that you would see. It's like a staple. When you hear a name like Lenahan, you go, you guys have probably been around for 1,000 years minimum. Good name, man. Well, good to have you in here, and glad we got to get some background on that. But for those of you who don't know, you probably do know. I mean, I know you would not consider yourself, this is going to be funny, even use the same, an influencer or somebody who people pay to trust. I know. As a former Army guy yourself, and I know this, and a guy who owns and runs blue-collar businesses is probably not in it. But for anybody who's paid attention to the world of small business and getting into the seat and being an operator, whether it's smooth operators in what you do have, or you got, Christmas air conditioning and plumbing, you got other businesses that you've started and own and operate in this space. I know a lot of folks have learned a lot. I mean, you were just in a panel the other day at the University of Texas. That's where we were catching up. And I just want to start over and say thanks for all you do, man, not only for the veteran community and the operator community, but just spitting some raw truth about this world, which is what we're going to get into today, man. So thank you, man, for all you do for the community.
Heck yeah, man. It's nice to be able to share your stupidity and rawness with others, and they actually appreciate it versus, looking down on you.
It finally is coming to fruition. Like this,
I've done enough dumb things that people actually enjoy it now. Yeah.
Hey, mom and dad, it's going to pay off. Trust me. Yeah, I know you don't think it is, but it is. Okay, so before we kick in, we got this ritual where we have owners from our listeners that ask a question that's on their mind, that's bugging them either in their own business or they just want to get some input from our guests. So if you don't mind, I'll kick off with it. It's from a gentleman who runs a home services business and it's growing quite healthy. But he kind of categorized it as this. He goes, it feels like often when you're building your business, especially when you don't have a lot of capital, that you're kind of fishing with a pole, where like it seems like a lot of this institutional money around you and stuff is fishing with a net. How do you see that either as an advantage or disadvantage that we are fishing with poles? And if so, how do you actually maybe start fishing with a net, maybe in a more local way? And that's kind of the question. But the context I had, we were actually on our way in after we were grabbing a bite here. We were talking about just how hyper focused you are in not only location and the businesses. Yeah. So I think you're a good example of somebody who's still bringing the heat, but doing it in a really intentional way. So again, fishing with a net versus fishing with a pole. Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think it's a huge advantage. Honestly, I mean we can't go out there and compete on like Google ad spend against these bigger people who could spend a lot more for a new customer. But we can go local, we can go hyper local. And so like our whole strategy right now is literally going neighborhood by neighborhood. So I know your neighborhood, I know names of people in your neighborhood, I know what's happening. I know I can talk to you and a neighbor, and that your house is 30 years old and you guys all had the wrong type of sewer, PVC sewer line put in then, and it's at risk of going wrong over the next few years, and how we could potentially help. And so I just love that. I mean, I feel like we got so caught up in the first 4 years of this business of doing things the way other people did them. You get caught up in the whirlwind of all the things coming at you, and then, how is PE or like these other people running their businesses? And you forget you get to do it the way you want to, right? And one of the ways that we wanted to was just giving more money or intention and energy back to our like small, tight community. So we just gave away a free AC system to a deserving veteran who was making an impact in his community. Also a small business owner. His wife had volunteered and eventually earned a part-time gig at a veteran nonprofit. And just like, they're just doing awesome things. And so instead of spending $5,000 on Google, I could go spend $5,000 on giving this like brand new system to a veteran and a family who really appreciate it and is trying to do good things. And that was the best reminder ever for us on, like, it doesn't matter if it's a fish or a net or a pole. Like, you just have to do it your way, in a way that you're proud of. And I think that's making a huge difference, because it's taken off a little bit for us on, like, everyone knows about it. Everyone I've talked to, whether I know that they've seen it on Facebook or not, they've mentioned it as soon as I mentioned I was part of Christmas. And so I think going neighborhood by neighborhood and just really being intentional and thoughtful and focusing is a huge piece. And then also smaller service area. Your guys drive less. They love that. And then they actually get to go back to homes that they've seen before. Customers love that too, right? They see JC again and that great smile and they're like, JC's my man. And so that's how we think about it. It's way more exciting when you get to know the names of the communities that you're serving and be a part of them.
So not only just the feel good of just how to, and the culture in it, which is, it's everything. But it sounds like just the way you're saying it, Nathan, like you actually think it's also just a business competitive advantage to do it that way. It's not just like, oh, you get to do these cool things for folks. I hear you saying like, hey man, and also if you do that enough time and you let it stew with the right intention, you can really crush.
Yeah, and when I say like neighborhood by neighborhood, it's kind of like, hey, you've seen our vans running in and out. That's awesome. We're installing systems there. There's yard signs there. Every opportunity around that neighborhood for a billboard or signage, we're doing that. When you get a pizza from the local shop, our card's on their box. So you are just being inundated with how us going deep into like real advertising where you would be in that neighborhood. And so like that's more how we think about it versus going an inch deep with Google AdWords across all of DFW. We're just in the northwest quadrant of DFW, focusing on those towns and cities and neighborhoods in a way that I think like the bigger guys can't compete with. They have to go wide and run to that next lead where we're talking to neighbors, which is a huge benefit.
How do you stay, one, thanks for the question, thanks for the answer, man. It's killer. But while we're on that topic, I think what I've noticed keeps a lot of folks up at night who are in the seat of ownership or operating a business is you talked about, hey, like we've gone so long with kind of the rhetoric of like, you got to do it this way, grow, grow, grow. There's books written about it. Everybody's got a LinkedIn post about it, all that stuff. And you're kind of saying, stop paying attention to that. Who cares what that is? And instead go do it your way. Would you argue that like, if you do it long enough, even though it's kind of like to be the coolest guy in the room, you kind of don't act cool. Like just don't worry about that. And then you end up being that.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be the wisdom and stuff that you've learned over the years, which is just not giving a hoot ends up being the way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, anyone that is memorable, I feel like isn't necessarily worrying about what everyone else is doing. And so I was literally just doing a bunch of interviews yesterday for a marketing leader for our company. I got 4 pillars for marketing: re-engage existing customers, attract new customers, attract talent, be memorable. And for us, like that is a lot about storytelling, but it's also just doing the basics well. And so, I mean, in these companies, you can only be so innovative, right? I mean, 80% is the same. It's like you sell something, you have to fulfill it. That's not going away. But the rest of that 20%, you can be different. You can fulfill it in maybe a higher hospitality-driven way. You can do it in a way that is like just meaningful and local and lots of different things that can be memorable. And so it is brand building, but in so many ways. But at the end of the day, like any energy wasted on how everyone else is doing it is less energy you can put on how you want to do it, and that's more important to me. Ultimately over time.
Killer, man. Hey, y'all, quick break. Here at American Operator, we believe that small business is the backbone of this country. But more and more, Main Street's getting swallowed up by big corporations, Wall Street, or some of them are just shutting down. And if you've ever thought about building something of your own, or just being a part of saving the American dream, head on over to AmericanOperator.com. It's your one-stop shop for inspiration, stories, and you'll get to join this really great community of patriots that believe our country is still worth fighting for. All right, back to the show. So let's switch gears a little bit and go back to early in Nathan's life.
Sure.
I do think my belief, and I think a lot of folks in this space, and I think a lot of owners get excited about where their legacy, the torch is going to get passed to. A lot of them get excited about the fact that veterans are a considerable population. Like, okay, really? You got public servants, guys and gals, warrior class. They've served their country. Oh yeah, you want to say they take over my? Yeah, that's great. That's a son or daughter that I can get behind that can take over this business. But I will say we both know that not all vets are created equal. And so I'm just we both have been it, so we can talk. I think from first primary sources here. Just let's start off with like the premise on why veterans are actually a good, strong cardinal direction to consider for taking on this path of ownership.
Well, I think the thing that makes pretty much all veterans awesome is I think we all have this deeply kind of rooted sense of purpose. So that's where I feel like I won't say we're all created equal, but there is that like consistency that I've seen there of you are drawn to something that's a little bit bigger than you. It has a very clear purpose of defending and winning America's wars. And that purpose is much more difficult to find outside the military. And then you certainly have like that distribution of like people that will be awesome at all kinds of things in life and other ones that you wouldn't trust your dog or anybody with, right? And at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is the discipline. It is that sense of purpose. They know they have to answer the call of duty. And in the battalion I was in artillery, actually, the little slogan or whatever on like our emblem was "Duty, not reward." And I've always loved that. Like, I love the simplicity of it. Is like we're here for a reason. Obviously, we get a paycheck, but it is all about the duty. And I think that resonates with a lot of veterans. So even if they get things wrong, you don't have to question whether they're going to show up and do something. It just might not always be the right thing, So they'll break some shit along the way.
Yeah.
And but you don't have to worry about having to push them a lot of times. And I think that's what makes so many of these veterans awesome. And they're trying to, I think, oftentimes share that purpose with others. So whether they start their own company or they take over another one for someone else, they're always trying to make an impact too. So they show up every day, and that's like 90% of the game. Just literally show up every day and don't stop.
What do you, from like personal things that you, maybe even war stories in or not, and just times that you spend in the service, do you have anything that's stuck out in your mind that's like, these are some fundamental moments in my life or an experience I went through while serving that like you still refer back to today? And just to kind of help paint a picture for folks of like, it is all the things you just said, but it's also these like real guttural experiences that like embed in the DNA that are with you whether you like them or not forever.
Yeah, so this is when I was in Iraq the first time. I was, private first class, 2003, very early on, and I had just got back from patrols, so we'd done like 12 hours of patrols. I had an hour or two, and then I was supposed to go on guard duty, so another 12 hours there, and I was struggling that day, so I negotiated with one of my peers, and they're supposed to cover guard shift for me, right? And I had a bit of a mouth to me back then. And so my section chief or whatever, who was in charge of like the guard shifts, he figured it out. I didn't clear it through him. He did not like that. And so he's like, take your butt out to, guard duty. I'm like, fine, whatever. He's like, and don't come back until I tell you to. Okay. So I go out there and I do my 12 hours. Never heard from him. So just keep going. And, we hit 24 hours, not a word. 36 hours, 48 hours, all the way to 72 hours before I finally, another senior NCO comes back. He's like, what the hell are you still doing out here? And he dragged my butt back. And like, there's no way to feel like less of a human being than to be forgotten in the middle of a combat zone, literally forgotten. And like blows my mind away. And I share that in the way that it was so invigorating to me that I would never treat someone or leave them feeling that way either. And so like one of the best lessons I've ever learned from someone who completely failed as a leader. And like that story resonates to me because like just blows my mind that could even happen. And and there's still the weird accountability of like, well, what about weapons checks today and like all that stuff, which all that stuff got done, but like you just didn't forget about the human that happened to be behind the weapon, So I like that one is one that really stands out to me of just someone doing wrong. But like the takeaway for me was so positive of, we're going to make sure this never happens again for anybody else.
You're like, I don't even remotely tick that way. And I think it's probably like, how would that manifest, that lesson learned? How does that manifest today? Like what is that echo that made its way decades after that? So
for me, it's just a couple of things. So I try to like over communicate anything that I'm doing. So if that means like, I got to remove you from your role because you're not performing or whatever, it's literally me sitting you down of saying, here were the expectations. Here's where we miss. This is the consequences of that. Do you accept that or not? And just kind of over indexing on the why behind
Yeah.
it, and then being there the whole way, right? So at the end of the day, I have another one where like I got in some trouble and I was getting smoked in the middle of the desert in the summer in Iraq again because I had a smart mouth, and the staff sergeant didn't like that, and like my hands were literally burning from like doing push-ups in the sand. And I remember the platoon sergeant coming over and he got me up, he put the staff sergeant down and smoked him, and he's like, "How does that feel? You know, like literally burning your hands." He's like, "Okay, 30 seconds, get up. We're gonna go in the shade. You're gonna put a cardboard box down, go back to smoking him and making sure that you're taking care of him first, even while you're disciplining him." And that was the takeaway for me, is like, this has nothing to do with being wrong on accountability side. You just did it the wrong way completely. You didn't show up as a leader, which is 90% of the job. And then making sure you understand the why so that we get better from this.
Yeah, it is like in a way, it's something that applicable across a lot of different domains. I know we were talking about parent stuff and everything else ahead of time. Like, it's just, yeah, can you discipline folks with also showing them love at the same time, which seems like a complete paradox, right? Like, that's impossible, especially when you think in the context of military. You're like, no, these guys are just a bunch of brutes, man. Like, there's no way they care.
Yeah.
Or any of these kinds of things. Now, you even saying that just reminds me of like, I had an early, you just said that about over communicating. I had an early memory of when I was, we were building the team here at American Operator. And I used to do these I didn't think anything of them. But I used to do these just kind of random like meetings that just, hey, everybody get in here real quick. Just check in on everybody. Hey, this is what we got going on. And I remember at first it would bug some folks. I could see their eyes being like not good with it because I thought like maybe some bad news was coming or whatever.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I'm just trying to keep everybody up to date, what's going on, why, and whatever. It's because, like, you know, in the service, we got this thing called like a GOTWA. He's like, if I'm going to go do a leader's recon into the enemy village before I bring everybody else along, if I die and don't make it back, you ain't going to know that. And so you need to know that if you don't hear from me for 3 hours, this is what you do. And then if you don't hear from me after that, then this is what you do. And then after that, you got to continue mission, with or without me. That stuff's hard-coded. But it isn't something. So I also realized, like, not only the over communicated, but you saying that also, like, you also have to translate it, because I realize you and I working together, it's like common. Yeah, of course, Lenahan called me. Yeah, like, it's what we do. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of other folks, like, why are you calling me? You know, like, are you about to? Is something bad about to happen or what?
I know, right?
Yeah,
different communication preferences for sure these days. And I've just learned so much too of like, we're all walking billboards, right? And we're, you know, whatever we look like on that billboard is what we are attracting. And so many of us want to attract more than that. And because we want everyone to like us, you know, oftentimes. And in my life, I've just learned more and more, like the more that you cater that billboard to the people you really want, like the better the outcome. And so an example, I just did a bunch of interviews for a marketing manager role yesterday. And in the request for interview that I sent out, like, hey, here's the next steps, I literally made a video in there and said, here are the expectations of this role. This is a marketing role, and it is hybrid, 4 days in office, but this is not one of those ones that you think is going to turn into hybrid forever. So if that's what you want or you're looking for, this is not the place for you. And if you don't want to be here in office anyways, also not the place for you, right? Here's the compensation range. If that doesn't fit, do not respond to this. And then I am looking for pace. You know, so like your ability to push and keep up, and then your ability to organize, so like keep the trains on track, etc. If these things are what you agree to these expectations, then please reply to this, say you're still interested, we'll schedule a time. And a bunch of people self-selected out for sure already. Yeah. Nope, I'm gone. No, great, perfect. And then a bunch of other ones like, well, I've never seen someone send me a video on the first one where it felt personal, but also like there's no question of what you expect. And I really like that. And those are the people I want to spend my time on versus the other ones.
We're going to take that, Nathan. That's awesome, man. What's something positive? What's a positive moment in the military that you saw that you were like, or even just a habit that you were taught that you were go like, that's been crucial to who I've become?
Yeah, I think setting high expectations for people, even if they don't think they can reach them yet, is one of my favorite things. And I can give you like 2 quick examples if you want it to. But
of course, let's roll.
I was a brand new sergeant, like 2 years in the Army, and taking my first vacation, went to Hawaii with my family, and I get a call from my first sergeant saying, hey, I just nominated you to go to the Sergeant Audie Murphy board, and you're going to represent our battery, and you know it's going to be 2 weeks from now. Get ready, don't fuck it up. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. I know it's a big deal for us, and especially for someone who's like so new in the Army. like the chance I'm going to get it, because the way it works is there's no one's selected. Like there's no quota, right? Like it's not like you go from 10 people down to one and someone's going to get it. You could have 10 people go through this whole process and nobody gets it. So it's supposed to be like a minimum standard type deal. And so I was like, okay, no one's gotten it for 3 years at Fort Hood. Like this is a big deal. And it's just me, how do I even go do this? And anyways, worked my tail off, asked lots of questions, and ended up being the first one at Fort Hood in like 3 years to get the award.
That's a big deal, man. That's a big, just for folks who don't know, I know Nathan might say it's huge, man. It's one of the, Audie Murphy is multiple Congressional Medal of Honor winner.
Yeah, he's the most decorated from war, or in the art. I don't even remember at this point. But
no, it's it's a big honor, when you get awarded that.
So that was super cool. So it's nomination only, and you only you have to earn it essentially. And you go all the way up to like meet all these sergeant majors. You get put in front of these panels of like the most senior enlisted, and they just drill you. They just ask every single thing about you, and so end up going up all the way to division, 4th Infantry Division's command sergeant major, and then I did 3 corps command sergeant major, and so end up getting it. First one in 3 years. Mostly, I'd love to say it's because I'm so awesome, but mostly because of deployment schedule. They hadn't done it regularly. But still super cool. And then also I took that experience and I helped one of my soldiers really quickly, and he went up and he won Fort Hood Soldier of the Year and then lost at 3 Corps Soldier of the Year, which is super cool, right? So like took everything I learned there and helped him. And then the funniest story from that is the 3 Corps Sergeant Major at the time, he brought me in and I was a sponsor. This soldier was not my soldier. He was someone else's soldier. So I was sponsoring him as a favor because the guy's actual squad leader wasn't around when he was supposed to. So I end up sponsoring this guy, and I'm at 3 Corps, Fort Hood's Soldier of the Year, and he misses some questions about current events. So that sergeant major's like, Lenahan, you piece of shit. Like, why aren't you training him? Like, he should know all that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, yeah, hurry, we'll learn, we'll do better. And he wins. He wins Fort Hood Soldier of the Year. So we go back to 3 Corps, like, to do 3 Corps Soldier of the Year. I don't know, it's a couple weeks later, and does awesome. He does awesome and misses one question. Any guess what the question was? The topic was? It's current events.
It's a current event?
It's 100% current events. And so the question was, where did President Bush visit the troops recently? It's Fort Bragg. And we were watching current events for like 3 hours that morning, and we had gotten like 4 newspapers, and the time that came up was on the TV. So I knew the answer. It was on the TV while he was showering, and it was the one piece of current events that he missed. He didn't get. And so he missed a current events question. That sergeant major remembered me from last time. He was like, "You freaking piece of shit, Lenahan. If I was president for the day, I would freaking demote you all the way to private. I would promote that soldier in front of you so you could see what a real leader looks like." He's like, "You know what? Have you ever gone for Audie Murphy?" He's like, because I'm gonna make sure you're banned from that. You should never. I don't want to ever see your face. I'm like, hey, you actually just signed my certificate like 2 weeks ago, and freaking rolled out. I'm like, that was my thing. But the best part was he ended up being his name was Commanding Sergeant Major Gainey, and he ended up being the very first senior enlisted advisor to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So when they created that, he was the first one there. I'm like, that son of a bitch. He did
there's a Gainey Cup and all the things, right?
100%.
That's Gainey that did that.
That's Gainey. Crazy, right?
Wow, man, what a small world. Holy smokes, man.
Yeah, so funny one. And yeah, I understood what he was trying to say, I think, spirit-wise, but man, that one cracked me up.
The thing I think that maybe doesn't seem obvious at the time, it definitely doesn't. It feels just like harsh for harsh sake. But I realized later in life it's kind of like they force you to think about running through the finish line. It's like one of those, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, when you're like, this is what you don't want to happen on the battlefield when like all things are at stake, is you're just kind of like, well, yeah, but I met the standard. It's like, dude, the American people don't care if you met the standard. They care, did you win or didn't you win?
Yep.
And if that requires all the way up to using your last breath to win, then that's what's required. And I think it's like it goes back to like, why am I folding socks a certain way? Why is he drilling me on the guy had to take a shower and he missed the thing, It's like, is that really a big of a deal? I think it's more of a mindset thing than anything else, right? Which also probably creates a lot of unhealthy anxiety later in life, but
it's a great story though. I enjoy telling it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. So I think folks are getting a good idea of like, okay, veterans get it. They got like a high give a hoot factor, at least a lot of them do. Generally speaking, a lot of good order and discipline. And a lot of at-bats, that's the other thing. I feel like at a young age, let me ask you this before we go into like maybe what vets are not always the greatest at the ownership stuff. I've had time to reflect on this thought, which was, as I got into the private sector after the service, I observed folks really not even getting their first direct report till 10, 15 years into a career. And Lenahan got one like year one.
Yeah.
And multiple in year two. Multiples of multiple in year three. I think it ends up being like you get a lot of at-bats at like what it means to motivate people pretty early and just how squirrely they can be, you know? Does that apply, or is that a reason why we're kind of somewhat good at this bronking bunko of ownership path?
Well, I think so, because the expectations end up being so much lower for leadership in the civilian side. And what I mean by that is, so I remember getting out of the Army, and I went and finished my degree, and I go to Lockheed Martin. Seemed like a perfect landing spot for a veteran, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I thought. Big name, it was sexy, like seemed like it was cool. I was going through a leadership program with them. And, the whole point is like to put you out and be a leader, right? And I remember going through like some kind of training that we all gather for. And it was all about leadership and like talking to the team, or, when something goes wrong, or like maybe you got the smelly employee and you got to talk through it or whatever. And so I'm just thinking, like what can I ask? What can I say or whatever? And, and I'm used to the Army where, you're responsible for everything. They bounce a check, that's your fault, right? Like they go get a DUI, it's your fault. Yeah. And, they hit the wife, that's your fault. And like the number of times I pick people up from jail or, bars in the middle of the night, or from cops so they won't actually take them to jail. It was obscene. And so, you have this like deep anxiety and level of responsibility in the military where you own every aspect, right? And then you get to the civilian side and you can't ask questions. You can't even ask oftentimes like, do they have family or do they have kids in ways. And so I'm like asking all these questions. I'm just prying. I'm like, guys, we're gonna solve this. Let's go. And they did not care for my like extreme ownership, I guess, in that aspect of everything. But it makes it so easy, like the NCO creed, which is, it's probably corny for me to say it, but like I actually loved a lot of the writing in the NCO creed. And one of my favorite lines is, 2 basic responsibilities will always be uppermost in my mind: the accomplishment of my mission and the welfare of my soldiers. What else is there? Like what else is there? And if you can just keep those 2 things in mind, it makes business easy. It makes life easy. And that's what it all comes back to. So, I overreach all the time still. I'm like, hey, how's the family? Like, you got debt, you got credit cards, like you want to buy a first house? I'm going to ask you all kinds of uncomfortable questions to see if I can help you buy that first house, right? And people love it. People absolutely love it, and it's never gotten me. I've been sued a few times, but I mean, the other ones love it. The rest of them love it, I guess. But
9 times out of 10, they love the heck out of it. That 1 out of 10.
I've never been actually sued for the things I said, but people want to take stuff from me for sure.
No, I do. You're right. That's a weird switch. Because you're required to know all those things. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you're allowed to know all those things, But because it's a single thing that's off. It's the wisdom of the military. It's like, if you're not good at home, you're not going to be good on the battlefield. You're not even going to be listening to radio.
Yep.
Because you're thinking about like, what's my family up to now, or my kid needs this thing, and we don't, whatever. So you got to know those things to make sure. I mean, maybe it's selfish, but it's like, or whatever, or the purpose is self-fulfilling, but it's because like you're not going to have this lethal fighting force on the battlefield. But I don't know, man. I guess I just also refuse to believe that's like not like it is. It has to be okay out here. This world, I think, is ailing from a lack of that. It's just like true people caring of each other, holding high standards. Those 2 things can exist. I think a lot of folks say they can't, but I think they can. Like, you can be particularly critical of the expectation, the high standards you want to hold, while also having grace for folks.
People crave it, honestly. I think people secretly love accountability. Secretly love it. And it's because, number one, it means that they're seen. So like one of my biggest things I think that I really focus on is, if I'm ever going to give anyone feedback, it has to be specific. So I can't just say, JC, good job. That means nothing. It literally means nothing. And if I ever say, hey, JC, I noticed what you guys have done with American Operator, building a brand that like really resembles what Main Street America is supposed to be with businesses, and how you're bringing veterans and other operators into it in a unique way that they wouldn't have access to, like that means something, right? And the same thing on the contrary, where, if I were to give you specific feedback. So anytime any feedback we're sharing has to be specific feedback, so that they are seen as a person, not just oh, that's a check mark, good job. Hey, you didn't hit the standard today. Well, what the hell's the standard?
Yeah.
And so I love that one.
No, I think it's I think it's weird at first. It's like stretching. Nobody, I don't know about you.
I don't like stretching.
No, hell no, man. Stretching's the worst. But I got a great wife who encourages me to stretch all the time, and I've been doing it more recently.
Yeah.
For my runs, I do feel better. But you don't want to do it at
You
first.
don't want to do it at
Heck
all.
No, it's like, this ain't working out, man. This is the worst part of the whole thing. What am I wasting my time here?
100%.
Holding my foot in my hand. It doesn't do anything. And then you're like, no, it does a lot. But it takes time, I think, to like acclimate to that. Otherwise, it's like the military. It's like they force you to do a thing over and over again until you start to see the goodness of it, but it doesn't happen right away. Tell me about our friends in that old world and old life that probably should never be in the owner's seat. And maybe it's you said something earlier. You're like, look, don't forget, vets are also just humans.
Yep.
They just happen to be in a different population and different kind of commitment goal. Where are the ones that you feel like, maybe the better way asked is like, who do you find struggles with it? Struggles with this sense of ownership.
Yeah, I think when people they need like external validation, if they need to know, should I do this, or they're wavering, or they're just inconsistent. Like showing up is honestly, again, like 90% of just success here. Just show up every single day. And so if you're not willing to commit to that consistency, or you need the external validation from someone else to show up and do that, this is not the place for you. You should go work for someone else, or partner with someone else and go do something a little bit safer, because I don't think this is where you need to be. And, like that may be a little critical, but this is for like the top 5%, or not even the top 5%. It might be the bottom 5%, like however you want. Like we're all defective in like some really meaningful ways. And I
like getting punched in the face every day.
Yeah. It's like return on brain damage is like an acronym that's coming out of this place where it's just like, you feel like you're hitting your head over and over again. There's no like concussion protocol for SMB, there is for the NFL, but like we get freaking head hits every day, and like we still show up barely able to see, and you just got to push through it. And if people aren't built for that, or desiring that, or know that they can't, like they're going to regret it on their deathbed that they didn't do this and they had to do it, then I would encourage them to go find bliss somewhere else.
Yeah. Live a happy life. Yeah. Don't do that. We're going to talk about why, like this thing being so daggone hard and why it's still a worthy path. I do wonder if do you find that, I find that my veteran buddies who've asked me, especially, with being American operative, they'll reach out and go, hey man, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And the one thing that always comes to mind is, hey, look, just recognize a lot of the tools and skills and practice you've had in uniform is going to absolutely be It's going to be valuable, no doubt. But just know that you're walking into no SOPs, no doctrine, no storied history from World War I. It is, on a good day, a train wreck.
Yep.
I don't even know if they have a filing cabinet there, let alone things to put in it.
Yeah.
So I find that those guys and gals struggle when they walk into a place.
Yeah.
It's probably why Army 2.0 at Lockheed or JP Morgan is a good fit, because there's like process and an HR login portal, where here there isn't, right? And do you find those? I mean, did that to be true, or maybe that's just my own opinion about guys or gals that would struggle with this?
I don't know why. You say an HR login portal just made me think of, like, we joke about this all the time, of like, someone says something inappropriate in a meeting or whatever, and everyone looks around like, we need HR, and knowing the owner, like we're HR, and it was one of the owners that said it. So you're like, oh crap, do we need to be better here? Is this okay?
I need to try and fix myself.
Lockheed Martin, definitely not okay. But at the end of the day, like the figure it out ability, FITFO, like whatever you want to call it, is, one of the most critical pieces of this. So like, if you're not a high agency person, meaning like, are you very willing to go off the beaten path, to create your own path, to do whatever you think is necessary, regardless of what anyone else thinks? Then it's a lot harder for people. It's a lot harder. And then the other piece I say, like, there's nothing wrong with asking questions of like, hey, what do you think about this? Would this be a good idea? But if I don't feel that, like, or kind of hear that quiet determination that it's going to happen whether you talk to me or not, or regardless of what answer I get, then again, it's probably a great signal that it's not going to be a good fit, or it's just going to be an even more difficult fit for you.
It's like a healthy amount of, you have to possess some healthy amount of agency and defiance, I think, to some extent,
Yeah.
right? Like you got to be okay with coloring outside the lines,
100%.
which is a rare breed to find in the service. Like I think if you find them, they're not common.
Yeah, I mean, they ate the crayons. They didn't even color with them, right? Like they, if there's even any lines to color in, right? So I mean, they.
I think that's an interesting point, though, man. Like, well, we were catching about like the Army puts these, the military, but I know the Army in particular, like puts these opportunities to try out for other tiered organizations and special operations and those kinds of things. I've always found it fascinating that the way they assess for that, it's typically the atypical thinkers, which is a weird thing to assess for in a place that's highly conventional and organized. You know what I mean? It's almost like they recognize that they messed up on getting it's like they recognize their filter wasn't great. They didn't filter all the conventional people in. There's like some weirdos out there, and they want those to do some really important things.
Some unconventional warfare,
some
right?
unconventional things, you know. But I find that the folks that tick that way, whether they end up making it in there or not, I mean, I think we all kind of know who we are. We're the ones that just kind of always were like, I think there's a better way to do this kind of up.
Yeah.
You know, or like, do I need to write that or can I just go do it? Like, or, you know, we're doing the same thing we did 3 days in a row. You know, do I need to go do that? That human seems to do okay in this kind of seat.
In the Army, I was a 13 Mike, which is MLRS, HIMARS, rocket. We shoot big rockets, right? And you have to certify every so often to be able to shoot big rockets, and that's fair. And like most things in the Army, it's like everything's pretty much open book, right? And all this stuff, and you know, so like there's the test part, and then there's the actual physically you're in there, and then you have to go shoot like basically a telephone pole with some rocket fuel on the back of it as like a certification thing. And something I did is I created like a whole like quick reference guide, and then I wrote out all the SOPs, everything that they're going to test and ask, and I posted it all over the cab in our like actual live launcher. And I just remember our like battalion commander came in one day, and he's looking at it while he's trying to like watching the people who are going to certify us. He's like, you can't do that. I'm like, I mean, I already did it. It's right here.
It's up on the wall.
He's
bro.
like, but you wouldn't be able to read that. I'm like, it's right here. It doesn't matter if it's combat or not. Like, I'm not that I'm going to forget, but you know, I am trying to make sure this is internalized. So this is muscle memory. They don't have to think about it. And this is the best way, I think, because we sit in this damn thing 12 to 16 hours a day looking at the cab. So like, yeah, these guys are going to know
Hinge
it.
is made interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, oh no, and then he's like, but you can't do it. I'm like, we're already certified. And then you know what happened? Within about 6 months, they had me go do it in every other launcher in the whole freaking battalion. I'm like, yeah, like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
This is dumb. And so, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, didn't really care. You know, like this is what's going to make our team better. So we're going after, I want to be the best. You do what you need to do. I'm going to do what I need to do.
No, it's that dog, man. We talk like these owners had we've been talking to operators for a great little business we're bringing to life here and really bringing that whole thing together. So we've been interviewing for folks to run this thing, and somebody asked, like, hey, what do you notice? Or I say, hey, Joseph, what do you notice as you talk to owners? Is there a common thread they all have? And we like to say at the company at American Operator, it's like they all have dog in them. Like it's just this like, it's like when a dog sees a thing they need, they don't like ask permission. They just like beeline for the thing.
Nope.
To include getting run over by a car on the way, which is like not great, but it's also part of the personality, what makes them great. You know what I mean? It's just like they're not going to overthink it. They're just going to go do it. And he kind of went, okay, I get that. And I could tell he's very analytical, but also at the same time, I think he was like, okay, no, I understand. And as I thought about reflecting on, I was like, I don't want it to sound reckless, but what it is like this whole world of SMB is about momentum, right? I mean, would you agree, or is that like...
I do agree with that.
It's not like, hey, do you have the perfect plan and then go set it into place? A lot of it is keep it moving.
Just get moving, yeah.
Running
agree.
water. All right, let's talk some time, man. So we talked some. Thanks for shedding a light on the vet community. I think it's something that we're excited about.
Yeah.
And we want to continue to bring the right folks in. And it's not a way to like, hey, you're not the right. I think a lot of them also need to be in other parts of the world doing other great things, and they're going to be a great fit 100%. For that. This just is the Wild West. It's not fun for everybody. It's not even fun for folks it's fun for.
Yeah.
You know, so
I have a joke about that. Okay. So there's 4 owners in our business, and we've acquired 4 so far together, but one main one, and then me, and we're both like full time, and another one who's a little more than part time at the moment, but he's still in it. And we said, hey, we're having the most fun we've ever had in 4 years to him. And he like spit that back to us recently when we were having like a shitty week or something. And like, well, okay, well, let's put that in perspective though. Like, on a scale of 1 to 100, we're still at a 1. Okay. And we just happen to be at a 0.1, like 2 years ago. So we've actually 10x the fun, and it's still only 1 out of 100. Right. Yeah. And it's just like, there's 99% pain, 1% fun. And so I think it's all a perspective of scale, and like where you are in the business, but high highs and the lowest of lows.
Lowest of lows. Yeah. Talk about the lows of lows. I think just to serve folks that are out there who might be considering this.
Yeah.
Any stories from the foxhole out there in the world of small business that like, hey, look, just this is the stuff you got to buckle up for?
Yeah, so I've got lots, but I'll share the one that I usually start with is my first business that I acquired was with my twin brother, also Army veteran. His background, he was a heavy wheel mechanic in the Army, and then he went into trucking, like diesel repair. He's really, really, really good at what he does, and so we found this cool little diesel repair, like truck shop or whatever. And we bought it, in all the wrong ways. We used our own money. There was no real loans or anything. And due diligence was fast, not in depth as it needed to be. And we just missed. We missed on a lot of things. We did a lot of stupid things, and we moved, really fast. And the cracks started showing up pretty quickly. Where the previous owner, I was actually working a full-time job, so I wasn't even in this. I was mostly just helping guide and put money in and all that stuff. And so I'm working full-time at WeWork. I'm probably 80 hours a week. Just there's not much left of me. And he's doing the business, and he finds that the previous owner has been stealing from his customers. He's got a very elaborate kind of thing on retreading tires that he's figured out how to just get a couple $100s out of it that his customers aren't tracking. And so to the tune of a few $100,000. So we find that, go talk to our customers about it, let them know, that doesn't go well, lose some of them. We have a customer concentration risk too with our largest customer, and they are on the fence now of whether they're going to work with us at all. From there, he's trying to steal employees. He's going after customers too. It doesn't matter what
after y'all bought it, he's still.
Oh yeah, he's trying to steal customers, trying to steal employees. Just freaking sowing discontent with the employees, and just painful, like a really, really poor process. So it's just landmine after landmine after landmine. And then about 90 days in or so, like my brother, we haven't paid him anything. He can't go much longer on that. He's just like losing his hair, just breaking out in like eczema and psoriasis from the stress. And then we figure out that the lease was actually falsified. And we thought we had 3.5 years. Only it's actually month to month. And we're a small, we're just like a small percentage of this building, and like 5%, 10% of it. And the tenant that has 90% wants to buy the building and kick us out. Owner agrees and gives us notice, and we fight back and forth for a while, but we end up on the losing end of that. And it's really hard to have a shop for diesel truck repair, or a business for a diesel truck without a shop.
You can't do it remote.
No. It turns out that's not a good remote job. Yeah. Turning wrenches over Zoom is really, really hard. So he ended up fire selling kind of the company to a competitor, got what we could for the assets, about, I don't know, less than 10% of what we paid.
Gosh, man.
And then, it was basically our life savings and everything we had in that business, and it blew up in our face in less than 100 days, basically. So huge miss on our part. Feel like I did lots of stupid things, but at the end of the day, hard to do a good deal with a not good person. And then he was better at hiding things than we were at finding them. And any owner that wants to be that way, they will win. They will be better at hiding if they want to than you will be at finding them. Doesn't matter how much money you spend. And at the end of the day, like, my brother's really awesome at what he does. I would do something again with him in a second, but like, it caused incredible strain on our relationship, especially with his wife, who was not super supportive of us doing, like, she felt something different gut wise or whatever. And it sounds like her gut was right. But, it took years for us to kind of, I won't even say repair, but just like bridge the gap again to feel good. And so the impact of that was incredibly deep, super, super painful. And almost took us out of the game forever. So, I ended up buying another business a few years later, trying again. And probably the greatest sales job of my life is convincing my wife to let me take another shot at this.
How did you do that? I mean, why did you do this? What got you to get back on the saddle? And then how did you convince her?
I just couldn't not. I mean, there's just some things when you have we've been married for 23 years at this point, and there's just some things that it doesn't matter how much I disagree or agree with my wife on some things. If she brought something, I just know she has to do it. It doesn't matter. And she just knows who I am on that one. And I had to try, I failed so bad that I had to redeem myself in some way. I feel like as part of the story, but also I know I can do this and I have to. And so that quiet determination, there was every opportunity that we could do. And we just started small. We started small again. We did it right. We showed her how we did it right. And we've had success. We've now acquired 4. And, we have more in the pipeline, hopefully, that could happen in the future. But, so she bet on me again, thankfully. But it took a long time for me to convince her. And this was my last shot. So that was the other part is hey, if it doesn't work out, I'm not making this much money in 18 months, then we'll divest and I will leave and I will go back because I was a pretty high earner on the corporate side. And that's mostly what she saw is hey, you could be making a lot more money while our kids are still at home when it matters most. So I need you to commit to doing that if this doesn't work out the way you want it to.
How did you know off the bat, or did it take time, or did you have some kind of, what do you call it, trauma about the new business that you bought? Or is there caution there, or did you go, oh yeah, this feels way different? Did you know that right away?
Yeah, well, I mean, part of it, there's no passive in this stuff, unless you've done this multiple times or you just coming with a lot of money that you're okay with losing potentially, much different. So I tried to play the passive game the first time a little bit. The difference was I was not playing the passive game this time, and so I was in it from day one. It still took, probably 3 years before we were paying me. And that was something that we were okay with. But that was the biggest difference. And then it was it's essential business, right? We set it up the right way. We figured out levers to grow it and make sure that we could make money from it. And so much better. And just being in it was all the difference, honestly. It gave my wife far more confidence, gave me way more confidence because there was no detail or job that I was too good to do in that business. And we have my partner, Scott, who is just one of the best humans on the planet, and he's been in day one as kind of our GM, just running the day to day, taking all the freaking brain damage of so many things. And so, again, that the biggest difference is just being in it from day one, every bit of it.
Whereas before you kind of were removed.
Yeah.
And even, it sounds like that one was just also just maybe destined not to be the case, but it didn't help that, hey, I'm going to try to squeeze in time to go make this work.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You have to be all in.
Yep.
Is that one business you still own?
I do not own. Which one?
The one that the second one.
The second one, yeah, we do own it. It was called Bart's Heating and Air. It's been folded up under the Christmas brand at this point.
Yeah.
So of the 4, they've all been combined under the Christmas brand.
Yeah. Dig it, man. When y'all were getting ready to get into the second business, I know probably this is, and the reason I'm taking a second to think about it is because I do think it's something that a lot of us don't talk about, but I think it's critically important, which is bringing our spouses and our families along. What did you do different this time in addition to just being hey, look, these are all things we're not going to do this time, but were there any critical things you've done this time and thereafter, with your wife that just kind of not only gets her on board, but also keeps you in the right headspace, moving forward?
Okay, so one of the differences between the first acquisition that was with my brother, these acquisitions I've done with 3 of my really close friends, and of that group, 3 of us had built a property management company together before, and we sold that to a PE roll-up, and so we had some comfortability and I think deep understanding of kind of our roles, what we're good at, and what the expectations were, and even the risk tolerance that went along with that, right? We've all gone out there together, not paying ourselves anything, building a business from scratch. And so I think that made it a lot easier the second time around. And then for this time, I am really big on setting expectations and being very, very clear of what we're all agreeing to. So this time I sat down not only with my wife, but I sat down with every one of the partners and their wives as well.
Oh, get out of here. That's awesome.
And said, hey, here's the things that are negotiable and here's the things that are not. And the thing that is not negotiable is you're about to put a lot of money into this. All right. We're all putting in the same amount of money. You're putting in a lot of money. And we could lose every penny of it. And so I want to look you in the eyes and know that if we lose it, that I'm still showing up on Thanksgiving and we're still going to be friends. So like that's not negotiable. And if it is at risk because we're going to do this together and put the money in there, then you need to step away and we can't do this, right? Because that's not part of this conversation. And unless I can hear that from my actual partners and their spouses, I'm not want to do it. And a lot more levity in that. I mean, it was a heavy conversation, but
I say so.
Like how many people do you know that would sit down and talk with, not only the partners, but their spouses and say like, hey, are you in this? Because I talk about this, I have this idea that there's no such thing as like balance or work-life balance or whatever, that doesn't exist. The best things in life are about imbalance. Love is imbalance, passion, hard work, doing hard things, all imbalance, going fast is imbalance. And so do you have the people around you that are going to support that imbalance over the next however long, right? And so I had to be able to look at their eyes and know that we weren't going to lose our friendship or their friendship. They can be mad at me, totally cool, but I'm going to be eating the turkey with the cranberry sauce while you're mad at me, and I'm still going to be at your house. So as long as you're good with that, I'm good.
What a powerful, that takes a lot of guts, man, to do. I think it also, it's probably applicable in a lot of things in life. Not just, but especially that. But I think when you think about big decisions and stuff, like how many times do we just sit around and go like, here's where it could work awesome, but here's where it might just burn into the ground.
Yeah.
Are y'all good with it? Maybe not good with it, but can we live with that together and be good? Yeah, what a cool thing, man. I think just one more stage set. Like, what's another, like, in the day in the life when you were talking about your, Scott GM getting just punched in the face all the time? Like, for tangibility, give folks like a real punch in the face story. Like, either, something that's fairly consistent. It happens. It's probably not a normal thing in a normal workplace, but in small biz, it is.
Yeah. Okay. I'm kind of pushing to like maybe 24-hour segments from Scott and me together, but yeah. Scott's trying to take off for vacation for the first time. And, since we've owned the business, it's probably 18 months out or almost 2 years in since we took over, and he's supposed to like leave early in the morning and he's gone through all the bullshit of the day of, payroll issues. I think I should be paid more. And then customer complaints. And then we finally get to bed or get out of the office at like 7 p.m. We probably started around 7 as well. And then gets a call at 9:30 that there's water leaking through someone's ceiling from an install that we just did of a new replacement AC system, right? And now the on-call technician who should be responding to that is not responding, and we got to go do something to take care of it. And so guess who's going, right? It's Scott and me going. So Scott and I over at a customer's house at 10 o'clock at night, trying to figure out what's going on. We are not technicians. We're pretty savvy, but it's no substitute for a technician. We're still trying to get a hold of the technician. And then like, what do you do? He's not responsive. He's on call. Do I need to just write him up? Do I need to fire him? How do I take care of the customer? How many other technicians should I be calling right now to make sure I get someone else out here? And so you're dealing with that. And then we finally get out of there probably at like 1 or 2 in the morning. Scott, leaves on his vacation that day or whatever, just get away. And my whole idea in life for this is, how do I make sure Scott doesn't get any calls while he's gone? How do I actually make sure he gets to recharge? And then you freaking first day, I'm running it for him, like leaning in, and first call is probably 9:30 of some dude pissed off who's kicked our install team out of his house. We're replacing 2 AC systems for him. He is very unhappy and is expressing it very colorfully to me over the phone. And if he's gotten to me, that means he's already expressed it to multiple other layers as well. And basically one of our installers got a little lippy with him because he was talking and, he wasn't being very nice to him, but he was telling him to do stuff that was not to the standard or code. And he had his father in there who was a construction guy that knows the standard and code and allegedly, and is telling us how we need to do it. My guy didn't take fondly to that, and they got into it. And so he kicked everybody out of the house. They were not allowed to go back to get their tools or anything. It's middle of summer. It's probably 100 degrees already at this point. And my guys are threatening to walk off the job as well. We've already ripped his old systems out. So we can't just, like, maybe we could just go put those back in. Maybe we can't. And he's like, I'm not letting anyone back in my house until you are looking me in my eye at my front door, and then we can talk there. But I'm pretty sure I want you to put everything back in and get the hell out. Okay. He's like, so when will you be here? I'm 90 minutes away, I guess 90 minutes. So I don't even remember what I was supposed to be doing, but I'm driving 90 minutes to go to this damn house, and I get there and it's like 11:30. It's hot as hell. And we try and start installs around 8 to get them done by, 4-ish. And 10 minutes before we're getting there, the installers call and say, we're leaving. No. You stay there, don't leave. And they did not commit to that. I have my service manager with me. So they didn't commit to it, but I said, don't leave. I need you to be there. And get to the house, the guy chews me out. I end up kind of settling him down, and I convince him to let us finish the job. Begrudgingly. My team doesn't want to. They do end up being there. I talk to him. I say, here's the deal. I will be with you every step of the way. I will take all the brunt from the customer or whatever, but I need you to do the job, and I'll be right there next to you. And so we sat there and did a double install starting at 11:30, basically. Like to the touch, it's about 140 degrees in the attic. Like you touch the metal, it burns. My resting heart rate, for the people that like track that stuff, my resting heart rate, like sitting down in the attic working on one of the system, was 165. So just like
cooking, man.
Just absolutely cooking. And so we end up finishing at probably like 6-ish that night or whatever. Every little thing that we could to fix it, make it all right for this guy, and ultimately got it figured out. And then I hadn't even done anything I was supposed to do for the day. So I'm there the whole day as an installer essentially, and customer service escalation. Crazy thing is, we end up selling a bunch more stuff to them too.
Do you guys?
Yeah, I kind of regret it, I think, but
because you didn't want to come back to it, or
just
not a good fit.
It's hard. Like I really want to back our team up when they're not treated right, but it's hard when the customer wasn't treated right too, and so like, where do you balance those things? Do you write your guy up for getting mouthy with a customer? Probably. But were they also right that the customer stepped over the line? Yeah, probably. So like, what do you do there? And
what did you end up doing with the guys?
We had we didn't do a formal like written write up, but we had a really, really intense coaching session. And he ended up having to leave the company, honestly. Yeah, that was one. I'm trying to remember if that was the first one or if it was like, hey, this isn't the first time, dude. We have higher expectations of this. And so he was gone not too long after. Yeah. But just huge learning. Didn't get anything done that I wanted to that day. So if I wanted to get anything done, I had to go do it at, I was 90 minutes away. So we finished at 7. I was probably home or got back to the office around 8:30, 9-ish. And then, trying to get whatever I wanted done.
Why does anybody keep doing this then? Like, that's probably not an uncommon thing. That's probably definitely a level 10, but
yeah.
Why does anybody pursue this path and keep doing it? Like, so much so where you're building a business of businesses now and you're doing it for life.
Yeah, I ask myself that all the time. Like, what? I don't know if I'm just like a little slow or like defective. I mean,
really
for me,
appreciate
like,
if you don't ask me those questions.
The very best part I know, right? Like, it's the best part for me is like I get to do with my 3 closest friends. Like, that is fun. That is so cool to do. And I don't know if I would do it alone ever. I've started businesses. Every time I end up with a partner. And I'm very selective about who I partner with, but it's really hard to do it alone. Huge kudos to people that manage to do this alone, but that's the best part for me, is doing it with them, because I feel like we're very in sync, at least. So like, it's my week to have like a shitty week, right? And then it's like the next week you're like, let's go, I'm back. And then the other one's like, dude, I'm on the low end, man. Let's like pull me up. And I literally went to Scott, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I'm like, dude, I have a really bad attitude. I have such I'm going to ask you to do something real quick. I think it might help or whatever. I'm like, give me a quick slap. And then I didn't even finish the sentence. And it's like, bam! Just slapped me across
snapped you out of it.
He's like, I've been waiting for it. And I'm just dying laughing now. I'm laughing so hard. I'm like, it's surprising how well that worked. Like, I really needed that. Um, and I tried to do it with my partner, John. He's like,
Don't ever
no,
touch
yeah,
it.
yeah. He's much bigger than me too. So he's like,
Oh, is he really?
yeah, he looks like
Just
my
for
big
folks who
brother.
don't know, Nathan is not a small guy either, man. He's pretty tall.
Yeah, he looks like my big brother. He's like 6'4", 280 probably, something like that. Big boy.
So I mean, doing it with people, but I mean, man, you could go on a fishing trip together.
That's true. That's true.
Why? I mean, what is it? Is it? We talked about it earlier. I mean, we talked about this earlier, and then I also have heard you comment, and I'm curious to how that weaves into working together with great people. That for sure, I get it. On hard things, like that's another thing that like really I can see that extracting a level of relationship that's hard to fabricate. What's worthy about the path? Like, what about it feels like maybe akin to time in the military? Like, is there a service component to it, or is that not really the case? And outside of obviously you're in the service business, but
yeah, I mean, you come in, and I think so many people think about the strategy and the vision of where we're going, and the money we could make along the way, and certainly like that's absolutely part of the conversation, right? And I think most people are left though of like, who's the people we journeyed along the way with, right? How did we help them, level up? And one of my personal goals is like, how could I help make 1,000 millionaires in my life of just people who maybe never thought they could do it or have it, and it's not all about money. It's just about like, if they had $1 million, here's these awesome people. Like, what could they do for other people? And just seeing like the the trickle down effect of how it goes everywhere else. And so, I think having the impact, getting to see something you're proud of, directing, or just like crafting it in a way that impacts people the way you want. And so, we have a lot of people that really want to stay in our business because of the culture that we've built, and our mission is change lives through the trades, create smiles, do it every day. We talk about it a lot. We try and live it every single day. And, and at the end of it, like, there's a lot of people that we're just having a lot of talent kind of seek us out. And that makes it so gratifying to know that, well, shoot, there's not just 50 employees here. There's actually probably 120 people that we're creating lives for, or helping support lives that they're building between having kids. We just had third baby in like the last 90 days from our team, and so like big baby baskets for them, and like with cool stuff, and just, exciting for them on those things. So, and actually caring about the people. So I think that's what it, ends up being about. And yeah, there's some ego in there too, right? Of your name's on this, you built something that you can be proud of, your family can be proud of, your community can be proud of. And I love that aspect too.
Yeah, what do you call something when it's about like it's like the enduring part is the beginning part of a long journey or long legacy there. It's kind of this adventure. We always get to look back on history, on something, and kind of be proud of it. Like, nobody's ever really looking, because the dots are harder to connect looking forward.
Sure.
But it is something that, that path in itself is interesting. One other thing, Nathan. I mean, thanks for the time, man. I mean, we could talk days and days and days on this stuff. But I do think the thing that, for those that are considering it, for those that are either in the high rise somewhere trying to figure out maybe this is for me or not or whatnot, or if somebody who maybe is a GM somewhere and wants to go do it themselves, just any words or advice you'd give them if, considering there are plenty of great businesses out there that need new great owners to operate them, like any words of wisdom or advice you'd give them?
Yeah, I think it's just, take the time to understand what you really want, and figure out if you need to get it through, pure ownership, or you can go partner with someone else to do it. At the end of the day, it's a super fulfilling path, right? I mean, like I said, it's a 1 out of 100 on fun, and I'm being a little dramatic there. It is tremendously fun and gratifying and fulfilling, and I don't think there's anything else I would want to do. Overall, I don't know if I'm employable anymore, like going to work for someone else, or it'd have to be like a crazy founder kind of person who wants, someone crazy to work with. But, I at the end of the day, like, if you want to live and die by betting on yourself and seeing if you really have it, then this is absolutely the place for you. And it is as fulfilling as it looks. And it's still 10 times harder than it looks, at least. So I think that's it. Like if you just have that like quiet, like you said, dog in you or quiet determination that you have to try it, then try it. Go for it.
There's probably no better way to look back on life and go, did I do the thing and did I hit some at least remote aspect of what my potential actually was?
Exactly.
That's kind of a cool feeling.
Yep.
We were talking about over it as we were grabbing a bite, which is you never want to look back and regret or wonder what if or why, because that stuff is haunting, man. Like it's a lot. I can live much more with being like, yep, I definitely suck at that, versus like, I wonder if I would have been good at it, or not.
100%. And I said ego earlier, and I think I've reflected on this for me personally a bit is I love the credibility of trying, and so I don't feel successful at all on this stuff. And that's not me being modest. It's literally, I look at my bank account, I look at, some of my things. I'm like, good Lord, this is,
I'm not that good.
I'm really not that good at this. But like, I love the credibility of like the journey nevertheless, right? So many people come and say, it doesn't matter if you failed or not. Like if you're willing to share that in a genuine way, people will like give you the credibility anyways, because like just taking the chance and the risk and do it in the first place was so much more important than just having success, right? Like you've still done more than 99% of the people talking about it. And for us, like we didn't buy the right business the first time, even in HVAC, we bought way smaller than we wanted to. It was doing like 800K in revenue. We wanted something 5 million in revenue at least, and it was all about that, is like getting in the game so that we're not talking about it anymore, because credibility is built by doing, not by talking.
One last thing. Dallas, Texas is kind of where y'all called home. Mm-hmm. Is that a special sauce, y'all think? You feel like, meaning not Dallas itself, but the fact that y'all decided to stay hyper-local in Dallas. You're not like trying to build this Christmas thing across the U.S. Maybe you are, but right now it seems very, very, very much like y'all are focused on that local area and staying tight.
Yeah, super tight. We would be open to it going other places, but that's more of like we'd probably need a big acquisition or like a good sized acquisition to just actually have something. But in DFW, it's literally the size of Connecticut, geographically, for the whole, like including suburbs and everything. And so it's just not that appeal. Like let's say we ever wanted to sell in the future, let the people that want to buy it tell them the story of, oh, we could expand all across DFW. Look at all this opportunity they left, Yeah. And for us, like that's exactly the story we'd want you to assume, right? That we just didn't take advantage of it. But we're incredibly intentional of staying small, staying deep in the community. I want to go super deep, and then also best quality of life we can for our team, especially on the field.
That's the other thing. You said that, and I was like, man, duh. But you just don't think about it. It's like the guys aren't driving all over the place all day long. That. Yeah. Happy employees, man.
They could make more money by going to more jobs in a day because they're closer, and they love that.
It's not something to be missed. It's not just staying local, but it's taking care of the guys
100%.
And gals that work for you.
Yep.
Nathan, you're the best, brother, man. Thank you for coming on today and just being raw, as you always are. If y'all ever get a chance to see Nathan just out in the world, whether it's on a panel or a speaking thing or just on a pod, like do it. He's got, I think, good perspective, and not only that, but just a raw and unfiltered way of delivering information, which I greatly appreciate. But man, thanks for all you do for the community, and thanks for all you do for just other folks looking to pursue the path, and really just being an example of how hard can be rewarding.
Yep.
So thank you, man, for all you do.
Awesome. Super grateful to have it, and yeah, appreciate the time together.
Thanks for tuning in to the American Operator Podcast, where we celebrate the backbone of America, small business owners and operators like you. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss out on more of these stories and insights from people who keep our community strong. Until next time, keep building, keep operating, and keep America moving forward.